Sunshine is a priority precinct in Melbourne's west, about 12 k's from the Melbourne CBD, and it's really gearing up to become the centre of Melbourne's west. Underpinned by the connections to the Metro Tunnel and the future airport rail, this area is looking to double in size and population over the next 30 years. Part of the challenge that we've got of a growing city is how can we use our assets better? So the Victorian government's looking to encourage more development and more jobs where people are already, really well located places, exactly like Sunshine Precinct. We're really trying to dive in and go, what is going to happen in the future and how do we cater for that? That's where we decided to bring in a research project and partner with Race for 2030 to understand what that growth might look like and how we might accommodate that over time.
As the world is getting hotter, and the energy system is changing, policymakers are grappling with how to design these large-scale precincts to best deal with these climate challenges.
Climate is changing in Victoria. We're expecting an extra 10 to 20 heatwave days per year by 2050. That creates some new challenges in the way we manage our cities. So how do we keep our cities green and cool as they're becoming more dense, and as you're getting these higher temperatures and reducing rainfall becomes a really critical challenge for government to manage. Energy demand is also something really important that we need to be thinking about, and that demand needs to be met in future by renewable energy. How do you get everything to work together and to be optimised across the board? And technology is a useful tool enabling us to think about that more strategically.
Designing cities to deal with these ever-increasing challenges is a reality for communities across the world. This also means that new modelling is constantly being developed to help with future planning, and increasingly, researchers and developers are using digital twins.
The digital twin technology is a 3D platform, and the research team used the 3D models of those physical elements and to run simulations. For this Sunshine project, we talk about 2050 scenario, and we have obtained the 3D model in terms of the design of the buildings as well as the trees.
The digital twin modelling covered 4 areas: urban heat, where the microclimate simulation tool EnviMet was used to identify hotspots in the precinct. Different heat mitigation strategies were tested with the tool to assess the impact. Urban greening, using shading analysis to identify where tree canopy was most critical for pedestrians. Estimating the tree canopy that could be achieved based on future rainfall, temperature and street design configurations was also modelled. Precinct energy performance was another area of interest, to help understand the demands from higher density development, electrification and electric vehicles on the performance of the local electricity grid, and what role localised energy generation and storage like solar and batteries could play to meet the higher demand. And finally, the modelling examined the likely carbon emissions from the use of materials like steel and concrete in the construction of new buildings and infrastructure. These elements gave the team an opportunity to consider how the precinct design could be optimised across different environmental parameters.
By doing this, we hope we can support the future local residents to get a very sustainable living environment.
The complexity of building a digital model and using all these tools can seem really overwhelming. What's important to understand is that we use a lot of different tools, some pretty simple, things like Excel spreadsheets and simple visualizations. CSIRO has a lot of that data already publicly available, and the Victorian Government also has the Climate Adaptation Tool, which contains data on a range of climate parameters that's spatially referenced. Once you have that foundation, you can then use a variety of simulation tools to understand how that environment performs. I think spatial analysis and modelling is definitely a key part of planning going forward. It's really just about thinking smart and thinking about how you can use the data that's already out there and the planning, the tools that you're already using, and putting those two things together to create new insights.
Further information, including the full research report, can be found at the Race for 2030 website.